All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, it is that time of the week, folks. My key games for this weekend in college football. And I want to start off with a couple of contests tonight. First, in the Big Ten, as you're going to have a pair of undefeateds going at it as the fifth ranked Iowa Hawkeyes travel to College Park to take on the Maryland Terrapins. Now, both of these teams definitely want to keep the early season momentum going for themselves. And I'm looking at Iowa. It's basically a simplistic effect or simplistic plan that, you know what, it's tried and true for this program under head coach Kurt Ferentz. A solid ground game, a quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, and you rely on a hard-nosed defense. And you look at Spencer Petras at quarterback this season. He has been tried and true in that philosophy. And you know what? Just give the football to running back Tyler Goodson and get out of his way. This defense is led by linebacker Jack Campbell, who already has 43 tackles on the season. And then you look at Lucas Van Ness, who already has 4 sacks. But I look at this Iowa secondary, 6 picks. And that's important because they have to go out there, this defense does as a unit, and put pressure on Maryland quarterback Tulia Tagovailoa, who already has 10 TDs on the season so far, but give him some looks that he hasn't been seeing so far this season. But Maryland has a lot of talent on offense around Tagovailoa. You look at running back Tavon Fleet Davis, as well as wide receiver Dante Demas Jr. And this is going to be a tremendous game, especially defensively when you think about what Maryland has done so far this season with 16 sacks. And I think this is going to be a back and forth affair. Field position and turnovers are going to be important. And I think the crowd in College Park is going to be into this one. But I'm going to take Iowa to escape by the score of 30-27. They're going to have BYU staying in state and traveling to Logan to take on the Utah State Aggies. And for BYU, they come into this game ranked 13th in the nation, and they want to keep that momentum going for themselves. Running back Tyler Algier. Just give him the football and get out of the way if you're BYU. You look at this Utah State team. I look at linebacker Justin Rice and what he's done so far this season. And this is going to be another one of those back and forth in-state rivalries. But I think BYU has enough to escape with the 31-27 win. Now, moving on to tomorrow, a big-time showdown in the SEC is you're going to have the 8th-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks traveling to Athens to take on the 2nd-ranked team in the land. And I'm talking about the Georgia Bulldogs. And it's an early season showdown in the SEC, but yes, Arkansas is for real. You look at how they ran through Texas and what they did to Texas A&M last week. This Razorback team is a different team than we've seen from this program in recent years. It comes down to the health of quarterback KJ Jefferson for the Hogs. Of course, he was injured last week in their victory over Texas A&M. And if he is there, it definitely enhances Arkansas's chances of pulling off the upset. Running back Traylon Smith is the real deal as the Razorbacks can run the football. And I look at linebacker Bumper Poole as he is the leader of this defense. And what type of impact is he going to have against Georgia? But make no mistake about it, the Dogs are for real. They have the number 1 defense in the nation. They already have 14 sacks and 7 picks. So I look at this front 7 to really get after KJ Jefferson and try to throw off the timing of what this Arkansas offense can do. But for Georgia, give the football to Zamir White. They can pass the football effectively. And once Georgia does pass, I expect tight end Brock Bowers to have a big-time impact in this game. Arkansas is for real. They're not going to be intimidated as far as going on the road to take on Georgia. It's going to be a close game, but I think the Dogs pull away late. That's going to take Georgia by the score of 30-17. Now, in the Big Ten, you're going to have the 14th-ranked Michigan Wolverines traveling to Camp Randall to take on the Wisconsin Badgers. And it's an important game for both teams because for Michigan, it's your first road game. It's your first road game in conference this season. Michigan is undefeated, but this is a big test for a team that really came into this season flying under the radar as they were unranked. You look at quarterback Cade McNamara. And, he's been solid for the Wolverines so far. And this is going to be his biggest test to date. But Michigan, under head coach Jim Harbaugh, they love to run the football. And I expect running back Blake Corum to have a big time game if the Wolverines are going to go on the road. Graham Mertz, the Wisconsin quarterback, has to play a lot better, has not been solid so far this season. And if he can't get it going, this Michigan defense can come after him, most notably Adam Hutchinson, who already has 5.5 sacks on the season. But you look at running back Chaz Malusi, and we talk about teams that run the football. Wisconsin always runs the football effectively. And when you think about the Badgers this year, it's the tried and true thing. Field position and don't beat yourself. And you look back to their loss last week against Notre Dame. Wisconsin beat themselves. If you look back to their loss to begin the season against Penn State, it was once again the turnover. So Wisconsin has to do a better job of protecting the football. But the way that both of these teams are playing right now, I think Michigan is the better team. And I'm going to take the Wolverines on the road by the score of 27-17. Now, in the Big 12, you're going to have Texas traveling to take on TCU. And for both of these clubs, they don't want to fall too far behind in that Big 12 race. You look at running back Bijan Robinson. He's the engine of this Texas offense, as Steve Sarkisian, going back to his time at both Washington and USC, respectively, he loves to run the football. Quarterback Max Duggan for Texas Christian. What's he going to do in this game? Running back Zach Evans can have an impact versus this Longhorn defense, as he wants to keep them honest. I think this is going to be a back and forth affair. Both of these teams know the importance of this one, but I'm going to take Texas to escape on the road by the score of 31-29. Now, in the ACC, you're going to have Louisville traveling to take on the 24th ranked Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And so far, two of the pleasant surprises this year out of the ACC. Of course, Louisville suffered that bad loss to begin the year in Atlanta versus Ole Miss. But quarterback Malik Cunningham, he's been solid. And this Louisville defense has been the big time surprise. 11 sacks through 4 games so far through for the Cardinals. Catrell Clark in that secondary already has 3 interceptions, and that's important. But you look at quarterback Sam Hartman, a tried and true guy for Wake Forest. I look at running back Christian Beal-Smith. He can have an impact in this game for the Demon Deacons. If we talk about defense, the Demon Deacons already have 15 sacks through 4 games along with 7 interceptions. They're not going to be intimidated against going up against Malik Cunningham. And I'm going to take Wake Forest to hold serve at home by the score of 34-30. Now, in South Bend, you're going to have the 7th-ranked Bearcats of Cincinnati out of the American Conference, traveling to take on the 9th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And this is an important test for both of these teams, as they know that they need to go undefeated in order to have a chance at the college football playoff. Of course, Notre Dame being an independent and Cincinnati being from the group of 5. Now, you look at veteran quarterback Desmond Ridder for Cincinnati. He will not, and I repeat, not be fazed by going into South Bend to take on the Irish. Cincinnati has a solid running game with running back Jerome Ford, and it's going to be interesting to see this Cincinnati offense going up against this Notre Dame defense, because the Irish have brought it so far this season defensively. 9 interceptions. We saw the pick sixes that they had last week versus Wisconsin, and JT Bertrand in linebacker is for real. Cincinnati can bring it as well. They have 6 interceptions so far, and that's going to be important because you look at the quarterback situation for Notre Dame coming into this game. Jack Cohn, is he going to play? I mean, he's not going to be 100% after getting banged up last week versus Wisconsin. But, Jack Cohn needs to be out there for Notre Dame. I look at this game, and I think it comes down to the defenses. And I think from what I've seen so far from Notre Dame defensively, they've gotten better as the weeks have progressed. And I think they're going to be up for the challenge and stopping Cincinnati in this one, especially without a 100% Jack Cohn at quarterback. Thus, I'm going to take the Irish at home by the score of 24-23. Now, a big one in the SEC is you're going to have the 12th-ranked Rebels of Ole Miss traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on the number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide. The Fighting Lane Kiffins, they're looking to pull off the upset in Tuscaloosa. And Lane Kiffin definitely has a team that can do it when you think about quarterback Matt Corral and wide receiver Dontario Drummond leading this Ole Miss offense. But Alabama is unfazed. They are retooling, but they're still battle-tested. Quarterback Bryce Young is getting better as the weeks progress. And of course, Jamison Williams, a wide receiver, can have an impact in this one. Alabama, they're getting it going defensively. They're 20th in the nation right now in total defense. And I guarantee you, Nick Saban will have his guys ready to go tomorrow. Thus, I'm going to take Alabama to roll at home by the score of 37-20. Now, a big one in the Big 12 is you're going to have the sixth ranked Sooners of Oklahoma State traveling to take on Kansas State. And recent trips to the Little Apple have not been easy for Oklahoma, as Kansas State has given them fits or more fits sometimes that they can handle. Spencer Rattler at quarterback for Oklahoma. At times he looks solid. At times he doesn't look good because sometimes he's taking too many chances with the football in his hands. If Rattler can't get it going, Oklahoma has to go to Kennedy Brooks at running back to keep some balance and keep this K-State defense off balance for what it's worth. You look at this K-State team and running back Deuce Vaughn. Oklahoma's going to have their hands full with him, but I like what K-State can do defensively. They already have 13 team sacks, and they're going to come after Spencer Rattler. And the closer that this game is as it progresses, the more that the crowd in Manhattan is going to be into this one. Kansas State has given Oklahoma problems recently when they go to Manhattan. And I think that is no different tomorrow. And I'm going to take K-State with the upset by the score of 30-27. Now, in Piscataway, you're going to have the 11th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes traveling to take on the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers. And Ohio State, you have to ask yourself, should they be on upset alert here? And the answer is yes. CJ Stroud at quarterback, the freshman for Ohio State. He's looked good at times. He's looked bad at times, meaning that he's just looked like a freshman. Sometimes he's making mistakes or sometimes he's just missing his guys. But like I said, when the season started, it's a work in progress for CJ Stroud. But by the time that the season ends, he's going to be a lot better. This is going to be a big test for him in this Ohio State offense. But I expect running back Travion Henderson to have a big game, as would wide receiver Garrett Wilson. Rutgers has the 11th ranked defense in the nation. We saw that last week versus Michigan as they were very physical up in Ann Arbor against the Wolverines. But quarterback Noah Vedrell, can he do enough to get Rutgers past Ohio State? We'll have to wait and see because the Buckeyes can also bring it defensively. This game is going to be closer than a lot of people expect, but I do expect Ohio State to pull away late. And I'm going to take the Buckeyes by the score of 38-24. Now, in the SEC, you're going to have the 10th ranked Florida Gators traveling to Lexington to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. And this contest here could dictate life in the SEC for both of these teams this season. Now, of course, for Florida and head coach Dan Mullen, they're still going with the two quarterback system with the veteran Emory Jones and the youngster Anthony Richardson. But I look at this Florida defense so far, 14 team sacks. And that's important because they want to get after this Kentucky offense and most notably take away their running game with Chris Rodriguez Jr. at running back. Kentucky has been giving Florida a lot of fits lately, and I think that trend continues. But I think that the Gators will find a way to escape with the 27-24 win. Now, in the Big 12, you're going to have the 21st ranked Baylor Bears traveling to Stillwater to take on the 19th ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, it's a pair of dark horses in this Big 12 race who are set to get it on. You look at quarterback Jerry Bohannon so far this season for Baylor, and he's been the real deal, as has running back Abram Smith. But Spencer Sanders at quarterback for Oklahoma State is solid. I look at his running back in Jalen Warren, and he's going to give this Baylor defense some problems in this one. Linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez, 43 tackles so far this season, and Oklahoma State is playing some better defense than we are accustomed to seeing them, as they already have 13 team sacks. I think this is going to be a solid back and forth game, but I'm going to take the Cowboys at home by the score of 34-27. Now, tomorrow night, you're going to have Boston College traveling to take on the 25th ranked, and I said 25th ranked Clemson Tigers. And it's been a very long time since we've seen Clemson ranked so low in the top 25. But this is the type of year that it's been for the Tigers and Dabo Swinney. And this is still a chance for BC to make a statement in the ACC when you think about how Clemson has dominated that conference in recent years. Now, if Boston College is going to go on the road and get the win, running back Pat Garrow the fourth needs to have a big game. But something else that you need to look at, BC's defense already has 6 interceptions. And when you think about DJU at quarterback for Clemson, he has been up and down so far. And if he's not on his game, this BC defense could go to work. I look at Clemson, they are still a very solid team defensively, and they've carried this club to the dance so far. Clemson very rarely loses night games at home. And because of that, I think they're going to find a way to pull this one out. And I'm going to take them by the score of 24-20. Now, tomorrow night in the SEC, you're going to have the 22nd ranked Tigers of Auburn traveling to Baton Rouge to take on LSU. And for LSU, they're seeking revenge due to the fact that when they faced Auburn last year, they got taken behind the woodshed. This Auburn team, they're battle tested. You look at Bo Nix, and he's in his junior year, and he's seen his fair share of battles now in the SEC. And of course, he won't be phased as far as having to have a night game at Death Valley. But you look at the running backs for Auburn in this game with Tank Bisbee and Jarquez Hunter going up against this LSU defense. It's going to be a very interesting matchup. And quarterback Max Johnson, what is he going to get for the Bayou Bengals in this one? Wide receiver Keyshawn Butte is one of the most explosive players in the SEC, and the Bayou Bengals are going to need him to have a big-time impact. Damone Clark at linebacker, he is flat out vicious when he's on top of his game for LSU, and I think he's going to have a big time impact tomorrow night. And so far, Louisiana State has 18 sacks on the season. Like I said, revenge is on the mind of LSU after they were embarrassed last year. I don't see them losing at home to Auburn. This one going to take LSU by the score of 31-23. And finally, tomorrow night in the Pac-12, you're going to have Arizona State traveling to take on the 20th ranked UCLA Bruins, as this is a big game for both of these clubs in the wide open Pac-12 South. Now, Jaden Daniels is one of the best athletes at the quarterback position in the Pac-12, and he's going to have his hands full going up against a very improved UCLA defense. When you think about athletes at the quarterback position in the Pac-12, you think about Dorian Thompson-Robinson for UCLA, and DTR can have his way with this Arizona State defense. And I think we are seeing the up-tempo offense that Chip Kelly loves, because he's had a couple of seasons to really get his guys at UCLA. You look at the transfer, Zach Charbonnet at running back, and Arizona State defensively is going to have their hands full with him, because not only is he a runner, but he's a physical runner. And that's a big time task that Arizona State's going to have tomorrow night. Thus, I'm going to take UCLA to roll at home by the score of 38-27. So, folks, those are my picks for this weekend in the world of college football. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group and on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.